is the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, joining us right off the bat, to use a baseball phrase. Frank Reich, how are you, Coach?
Rich, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Everybody good in your family, in your world, happy and healthy, hopefully?
Yeah, appreciate you asking. Everybody's good, and looking forward to spending the Memorial Day together as a family.
I bet so. So, what's it like in your world right now, Frank? Are you in your facility in the state of Indiana, or what is everything going on with the Colts right now?
Yeah, no, we're still following league protocol. Not, coaches, players not allowed in the facility. So, we're being productive, Rich. I mean, we've adapted and learned what we need to learn, and it's not the same. But I'll tell you what. I mean, I think we're getting as much out of it as we possibly can.
How so? What are you getting out of it?
Well, for example, on our Zoom meetings, we're figuring out ways to do. We got a new quarterback, so. You know how it is. It's a big deal. You need to hear his voice. You need to hear him call plays in the huddle. You need to hear him at the line of scrimmage, called in cadence. So we're finding ways to kind of do virtual walkthroughs. Make sure we're trying to team bond. Like some of those things you have to do on the field. And it's not the same, but it's the next best thing, and it's what we have to do.
No, I know that rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks usually are told by coaches, go into the mirror and start calling out plays, get your cadence going, sound more confident, get ready to roll. Are you? Obviously, it's gotten out of confidence thing, but so Phillip Rivers is zooming in, and you're having him call out plays, so your rest of the offense can hear his cadence and pick it up, and maybe somebody like Jacob Eason can be on that Zoom, and pick something up from it. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, because as everybody knows, same with every team, that, you got to follow the rhythm of the cadence of the starting quarterback. So it's important for Jacob and more important for Jacoby, because Phillip's cadence will be slightly different than what, some of the other guys used to. I mean, after 16 years of calling cadence, I'm not about to try to change the way, he's calling his cadence. We'll adapt to, his style of cadence. That's common, when you have a new starting quarterback. So the guys are picking it up well, and it's been fun. I mean, we're trying to have fun with it. We do stuff like that. We try to do some competitive game. We do a bunch of stuff, competitive quizzes. What's really making it work, though, Rich, is the guys are buying in. This doesn't work. This Zoom stuff doesn't work if the players don't engage. And so our players are engaging. I feel like we're learning a lot and taking some important steps.
Well, there's a lot to talk about your quarterback room before we get to your starter. Jim Kelly would not forgive me if I did not mention Chad, who's his nephew, who's up. We just showed on the screen right there, because he was texting me like crazy during the combine. And knowing that you and Chris Ballard were directly next to our booth at the NFL Network, saying, don't forget to mention Chad. He said he's a different person, a different kid, that he worked with Phil Simms, so on and so forth. Can you add a little bit more to that, Frank?
Yeah, I mean, Chad, I cannot tell you how happy we are with Chad. I mean, he's really he's progressed a lot. As a quarterback, he really works hard at it. Chad is, of course, I'm so close to Jim.
Yep.
And I know the Kelly clan as well as anybody, and he is a true Kelly now. And, if you're a Kelly, that's a guy you want in the bunker with you. And, you want him in the bunker with you. He knows how to fight. He's a good teammate. And, he has worked with Phil. He's really worked hard at his craft, and he's continuing to improve. So we got four. We'll have four in camp. It's going to be really competitive. We like that, though. Chad likes that. All our quarterbacks like that. The more competitive, the better.
Is the way that he wound up there? Was it the Buffalo connection with you and Jim?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Chad was. Here's the second thing. Chad's working really hard on the field, but everybody knew Chad had he had one or two issues off the field that had kind of put him on the outside. And, Jim called me up and said, hey, Frank, he just needs a chance. And so we talked it through. I talked it through with Chris, and And we brought Chad in, and Chris Ballard and I sat down with Chad and said, "Hey, man, this is it. You got to do it right. You got to do it right on and off the field." And I got to tell you, Chad Kelly off the field has been as good as anybody I've been around. The guy is a model. He's been a 10 out of 10 off the field as well as on the field. So I'm excited. I'm excited for him.
I had to bring it up because if Jim's sitting out there right now watching us, and I didn't bring him up, I'd never hear the end of it, Frank. So I had to bring him up.
Hey, I always like talking about Kelly's now. I mean, my as you can appreciate,
yes,
my friendship with Jim goes really, really deep.
It sure does. Frank Reich here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, Philip signs a 1-year deal. Do you think this could, if it all works out, go longer than that, Frank?
That's what we're hoping. I mean, Rich, when I looked at his film from 18 and 19, and I was with him for 3 years, for 13, 14, and 15. And, he was still playing it, throwing it, and physically at a high level. And when I watched every pass he threw in 18 and 19. When they went 12-4, in 2 years ago, and then last year was not a good year for their team. But I didn't see any drop off physically. So I mean, you're 38, he's going to turn 39. So maybe he hits a wall at some point, but I haven't seen it. So it's probably good to go year by year, but our intention is, and I think his intention is, hey, as long as he's still playing at a high level, and let's do this thing. Let's see where we can go. We're excited. I think he's excited. This was a unique opportunity, Rich. I mean, we were happy with a lot of what Jacoby did last year. We as a team struggled at the end of the year. Jacoby took a little of the brunt of that, probably unfairly so. But so this move was not so much unhappy with Jacoby as it was, hey, we got an opportunity to get a future Hall of Fame quarterback who knows us and we know him. So let's do that.
And every year that he does play for you, that means St. Michael Catholic High School needs to wait for their coach, Frank, right? Is that what that's
right.
I mean, maybe he wants to pick up. I know his dad was a coach. Maybe he wants to pick up some pointers from you while he's playing for you. Maybe.
Well, it's funny. We were actually talking on the phone last night, and I swear he's talking like a coach, but he's always talked like that. That's in his blood, and I'm happy for him that he has a clear picture of where he wants to go.
Hey, a few more minutes left with Frank Reich of the Colts here on the Rich Eisen Show. My favorite draft choice, and I'm not just saying that because you're on here right now, was Jonathan Taylor, 41st overall. I think that kid's a steal. I think he is a star. You want to talk about off the field? I can't rave about him enough, and I'm a Michigan Wolverine, and he kicked my team's ass every single time he played them, and I couldn't be more glad that he's out of the Big Ten and now in your world. How much are you expecting out of him in this coming fall?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting a lot, and it's like you said, we think he can come in and make an immediate impact because he's got the off the field maturity, to handle what he needs to handle and to get ready, even in this kind of COVID environment. He's mentally really sharp, his really high character. I had so many people call me and text me after we picked him. I mean, literally, it was a lot of people, a lot of football people that, hey, this was my favorite guy. He's the off the field and on the field. This is one of the best guys in the draft, kind of like what you're saying, Rich. So, and it's funny, Chris Ballard, I remember him telling me at the beginning of the year, he obviously everybody had their eye on Jonathan Taylor, but Chris has some ties to Wisconsin, and he I think had been hoping all year long that this would work out. So between him and Michael Pittman, now I mean those first two guys are really quality players and on the field, but we really think can be great long-term leaders for us.
Speaking of great guys on off the field, when was the last time you spoke to Andrew Luck, Frank?
Not long ago. I talked to him a fair amount. We keep in regular contact. I got real close with Andrew in the short time we were together. Really happy for him. He's made a great transition. He's really happy. I'm happy he's still in Indy. They built a home in Indy. Mm-hmm. He and Nicole built a home in Indy and, had their little girl. And, she's really sweet. And so, keep in touch with him every couple of weeks or so and just to check in. But he's doing great.
Is it true you helped him get married, Frank? Is that a fact?
Yeah. Well, they got married in Prague, but when you come back to the States,
yes,
part of the legal proceedings to be legal was you needed an ordained minister to sign the document. And so I was honored that he would ask. And then Chris Bauer got to sign as a witness. So in my office, the four of us stood there and signed the documents to make it official here in the States.
So you're ordained? You're ordained?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
That happened between the time that I got finished playing and got back into coaching. Had went to seminary and school, and then really served as an interim pastor for about a year and a half, and so got ordained in that process. And one of the reasons I did that, Rich, was for wedding purposes. I have 3 daughters, and I don't know why this vision had always been on my heart, but I just really because that kind of stuff really means a lot to me. So I kind of had this picture in my mind of being able to walk my 3 daughters down the aisle.
That's amazing.
And then turn around and then perform the ceremony. So 2 down and 1 to go, and those have been fantastic experiences.
That's fantastic. I love every word you just said, but is there a way that I could help you improve that story in any way, shape, or form? Because I like to improve things, even if it's not true, Frank. And if you'll indulge me, if anybody asks you when you were ordained, from now on, can't you just say during halftime against the Houston Oilers? Couldn't you say that? Don't you think?
That is awesome. I think that's a great story. I think, you know what?
From now on,
if you'll vouch for me, I think we should go for it.
Go for it. From now on, people, hey, when did you become ordained? Hey, halftime against the Houston Oilers. Right? You just had a moment, right?
That's great. That's amazing.
Oh, man, before I let you go, this new rule that's going to be voted on, instead of an onside kick, you can go 4th and 15 from your own 25. You like it? To keep possession. Do you like that idea, Frank?
You know what? When this has been talked about for, I don't know, about a year maybe. When I first heard it, I'm a little bit of a traditionalist, and I was like, I'm not sure I like it, but I think it'll be interesting. So I'm open-minded about it. I feel like we can be a good team in those kind of situations. So if and when we need it, I would like to think with our offense that it could be an advantage for us, relatively speaking.
Oh, I think so too, and we're already trying to figure out who's going to be the first coach to do it when they're up, to try and get that vaunted 2-possession advantage. My first thought was Doug Peterson. That sounds like a total Doug Peterson move, but you're from his staff as well. Would you do that? Would you even think about, hey, you know what? I'll do the math. 4th and 15, percentage is this. I've got the play in my back pocket. This is a way I can salt a game away. Would you even think about doing it up as opposed to something you need to do to try and get back in a game?
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I wouldn't. I'm with you though. It wouldn't surprise me if Doug would do it. I'm pretty aggressive in my play calling, but Doug might just do it after the first series. After the first touchdown he scores, just to prove a point. So that's how his mind works.
But if I had to choose the first quarterback who would be in his coach's face to say we should do this, it would be yours, though. I would choose Phillip over anybody else on that.
That I would agree with. For sure.
You'll go with that one. Hey, Frank, thank you for the call. Appreciate the time. Let's stay in touch down the road. Always appreciate our chats and our time together.
Yeah, same, Rich. Best to you. Have a great weekend.
Same to you. That's Frank Reich, Indianapolis Colts head coach, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.